to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage. I know you're in an unfamiliar area. This is also in my yard, but I moved because everywhere I go today, some kind of lawnmower, blower, tree cutter is working. So I wanted to take you guys as far away from the noise as I could. So I'm sitting in my, I don't know what this is called. It's sort of like a garden. Schmitty, so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you, of course. It's been a little busy. Labor Day weekend for you guys. Carmelita, dance a little louder. Rosalita, stand just by my side. Wendy Kraft, how are you? So Labor Day weekend, which if you guys not from Milwaukee Civilian, good to see you, buddy. For you guys not from the USA, Labor Day is signaling pretty much the end of the summer. So everyone gets their last summer weekend in, their last little party, their last little barbecue. And it sort of signifies the end of the summer. But it doesn't have to be. But there are also people that do summer rentals. It's historically. Hello from Germany. Linda Daughtry, how are you today, Linda? Hope you're doing well. Search for you. Hi there, totally taking it easy this weekend. The pool closes too, that's right. So you shut down your pool. And that can be depressing for many people, right? Madam Whip-Ass reads, how is the weather today? And supposedly the whole weekend is supposed to be gorgeous. It's a little cooler than usual. Bob Growalski, how are you? I hope I got that name right. Not always easy to pronounce all these different names, but I hope I did. Thomas Jordan, thank you, Thomas. You're always a big supporter of Police Off the Cuff. Carmelita, I'm ready to fall clean and start indoor projects. Carmelita, that's great. Sharon Reynolds, Dorothy Andrew, Diane Krause, good to see you. Marilyn Manetta, so good to see you. Michelina Serena, it's so cool for here upstate, 50 degrees. Yeah, it's cool, but it's nice. I guess, you know what, we sometimes panic a little bit when Jeff Clark, hi from Australia. Wow, so good to see you folks from so far away, but it's always good to see that the reach of Police Off the Cuff is worldwide. Isn't that amazing that you could even say that? Wow. They used to say years ago, the sun never sets on the British flag. And then years later it became the sun never sets on the US flag. And the sun never sets on Police Off the Cuff as people from all over the world in all different time zones come and join us. So guys, I thought that the other night when I had on Bobby Chacon and Jim Clemente, I mean, felt like I was part of the audience. That Jim Clemente is so damn interesting, and if you guys don't know who he is, he's a retired FBI agent, but he also wrote the show Criminal Minds. And Bobby Chacon, another retired FBI agent, he also wrote for Criminal Minds. So they were super interesting guys. And not just that, they had full and huge and prolific FBI careers. I think Jim Clemente did 22 years. Rip, thank you so much for the $1.99 super sticker. Jim Clemente did 22 years and Bobby Chacon 27 years. And during that time, or before they went on the FBI, both of them obtained a law degree. So these guys are achievers, big time achievers, you know. As is Mike Geary, who was on the show with me the other night. They were so good that myself and Mike Geary didn't talk that much. Both Bobby and mostly Jim Clemente did most of the talking, and we were happy to let him talk. Rarely do you get a guest that was that knowledgeable that he puts the zip on our lips, you know. And he did. Talk to Angels, you love, this hat's not bad, but supposedly there's a new one that has a better emblem. Like, this is a smaller emblem. And Josh, I think, designed one with a big, Josh is in the chat. I think Josh designed a hat with a bigger Police Off the Cuff emblem because this is a little bit too small. And I don't know if this is the one, Josh, you did, or it's the one that came before you. But I think the emblem has to be a little big because this one doesn't have the Police Off the Cuff POTC on the back, and I think the one Josh designed has that. I don't know if we have pens, we have coffee mugs. Version 1.0, new version is much better. Okay, so Josh's new version 2.0. I got to get one of those. I got the old hat. So people watch you, Bill, because you always have very interesting guests with so much information. Jim and Bobby was awesome. Mike would tell you going to, yeah. Look, Bobby Chacon, it seems like we like each other, you know, so I would get him as often as you can. You got to realize he's a busy guy. He's one of the most demanding, or demanded, in demand, I should say, talking heads on TV, because he's very knowledgeable, and not just knowledgeable, but as I said, he's got a law degree, and he was an FBI agent that worked the street. Not all of them FBI agents are street cops. Josh even came in the other night and loved the panel. It was brilliant, you know. Roger Still, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Love this show. So many Gilgo questions. You know, guys, I'm not, I'm sorry, I get a little bit dry when I talk so much. Last night I went on and I tried to fill in some blanks, but, you know, sometimes you do get a little bit repetitive because there's not anything totally new with this case. However, Tuesday night at 9 p.m., I was able to get Patrick Ryder. And if you guys don't know who Patrick Ryder is the police commissioner of Nassau County. So we've heard from Rodney Harrison, not on my show, but we've heard from him. He was interviewed by Newsday. We've heard Ray Tierney, he's the Suffolk County District Attorney. We've heard from Toulon, his last name is Toulon. He's the Suffolk County Sheriff. We've heard from the head of the state police. I don't have his name handy. And we've heard from the supervisory agent in charge from the FBI. However, we've never heard from the Nassau County Police Commissioner. And folks, guess what? Where does Rex Schuerman live? Anyone want to guess, you guys from other states, other counties? Where does he live? Does he live in Nassau or Suffolk County? He lives in Nassau County. Nassau County was an integral part of that investigation. They worked that investigation as well as Suffolk County. Gary Hummel, hi from the UK, love your podcasts, keep up the fantastic. Gary, thank you so much. So, Patrick Ryder, who is what a nice guy. It's so hard to believe. Mary Lynn Minetta, thank you for the $2.99 super sticker. Richella Pranzo's on. Hello, Bill and Good. Richella's probably cooking up a storm now because this is the weekend. Richella and, of course, Lieutenant Pete, they're Italian. They love food. Richella loves to cook. The family should be coming over this weekend, which is probably happening. I can imagine the smells coming out of their kitchen right now. Unbelievable. Richella, you and Lieutenant Pete and the family have a wonderful time this weekend on beautiful Long Island. Right? So have a great time. Labor Day weekend, signaling usually the end of the summer. So ready. Good afternoon, Bill. Everyone in the chat. Steve Richella said, "I'm a profiler. I profile Italian moms, grandmoms, and wives that are great cooks, and that's Richella. So I profiled you. Have a great weekend." So again, let's get back to Michael Geary. I can't believe Father Mike. He'll be hearing confessions after this show, not during it. Mike, welcome to the show. So, what was he getting to? Patrick Ryder is going to be on Tuesday night. He's such a nice guy. He actually started out his police career on the NYPD, and then took Adele. You're Italian also, cool. Love Italian food, my favorite food. So then Patrick Ryder went on Nassau County and went up through the ranks to the rank of police commissioner. And he's such a nice guy. It's hard to believe that someone at that level, someone at that rank is such a nice guy, and he is. And he's a really great police commissioner. I believe he served under a Democrat and he served under a Republican. He's so good, so competent at his job that they keep him in the job. And he comes from a police family. His son is on the job. His cousin, Jim Cohn, is a retired NYPD inspector and he was the commanding officer of the aviation unit. He's a pilot. He now lives in Florida, flying billionaires to their vacation homes. Not a bad job, Jim, but he earned it. I think he's also a retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. So, Jim Cohn, you live in large, cousin of Patrick Ryder, and their other cousin is Jack Cohn, who a year or 2 years ago was the quarterback of Notre Dame, and I believe he's trying to make it in the NFL right now. I don't know what his status is right now, but a great family, huh? What a great police family. Irish family, yeah. Great, anyway, so Patrick Ryder is going to come on the show, Nassau County Police Commissioner, on Tuesday night. And he's going to talk about the role of the Nassau County Police in the Gilgo case. Tammy Roseberry, everyone loves Professor Mike Geary, that's for sure. He's laid back and people like his demeanor. Not like me, I'm hyper and crazy and, and say things maybe a little irreverent. Is that a good word, irreverent? But, I'm not going to, that's who I am. I'm not going to be Mike Geary. I'm not Mike Geary. I'm Bill Cannon, So the other night during the show with, of course, Bobby Chacon and Jim Clemente, I said something about Michael Allen. Why do I call him Father Mike? Because he has the demeanor of a priest. That's a joke. Some people don't understand cop humor, but we understand it amongst each other. And that's why I call him Father Mike, because he has the demeanor of a priest. And he's Irish looking, and, Pauline Buckles likes the irreverent. So the other night when I had Bobby Chacon and Jim Clemente on, I said, oh, you FBI agents are doing a tap dance. Do you know someone in the chat took umbrage to that? And I was like, something, I'm not even going to respond to that. But basically I was going to say, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. I'm not going to pull it in because you think I was disrespectful. And I wasn't disrespectful. I was joking with them. That's how cops joke around. We bust each other's chops, So, but someone actually said, something, dude, go somewhere else if you didn't like that, So, I know that Pat, and I don't, Milwaukee civilian, I'm out, I'm going over to duty, Ron. I hurt Milwaukee civilian's feelings. He's leaving me. He wants a kinder, gentler, softer spoken host of a show because he's offended by Crazy Eddie here. Some of you guys don't know who Crazy Eddie was, but Ain Patrick, raised in the PD, love my cop family. Absolutely. Milwaukee civilians laughing. I know he's laughing. I know he wasn't serious, but I'm so offended that you said that. Not, Leaf Graymason. Bobby Chacon was absolutely found a great guest like that, who asked me before the show, sent me an email and asked me, do you mind if I bring my friend Jim Clemente on the show, who was this, that? I said, absolutely, bring him in. The more the merrier. And actually that night, if you recall, I was supposed to have Dr. Joni Johnston on too. And look, I love Dr. Joni Johnston, and she told me she had laryngitis and her voice was going. So I said, Dr. Joni, no problem. In fact, I have two guys coming. I told her who, and she was a fan of Jim Clemente herself. So it was probably good that Dr. Joni bagged out that she didn't feel well. That she didn't, because there was too much going on, So imagine we would have had like 3 experts on the show. Mike and I would have been like, which we were almost anyway, just listening to the show. So it was tremendous. So, yes, the show was very interesting. And I thought the show before that with Chief Robert Boyce, the former chief of detectives of the NYPD, I thought that show was great too, And Robert Boyce, Bobby Boyce, chief of detectives of the NYPD, former, retired. He's now a producer of the TV show New York Homicide. which I'm on an episode of this month coming up. I got to get the date. I got so many emails coming at me from all different directions that I forget, I forget sometimes. And Michael Allen, Bobby Boyce was interesting too, absolutely. Mel Stiller, good to see you, Mel. Sharon Reynolds, Professor Michael, what do you think of BTK keeps being inserted into new cases? Well, Mike Geary's in the chat, or he was in the chat, I don't know if he's still here. It just shows you that these guys, these serial killers, they want to stay relevant. Mike Geary's still in the chat. Well, Mike, someone asked you a question. What do you think of BTK still coming up with new potential bodies that he's done in his career, in his murder career, if you could call it that? So one of the things I think we're going to talk about with Patrick Ryder on Tuesday night, Milwaukee Civilian says BTK thinks he's Hannibal Lecter. Regina Carter, hello, how are you? Richella. So when we have Patrick Ryder on Tuesday night, I really want to know. I want to ask him questions in regards. He knows things, of course, about the case that we don't know. Whether he'll let us know what we don't know is another thing. I don't know if he's going to let the cat out of the bag and say, look, we knew this and we knew that. And Regina Carter, hi Regina. Tammy Roseberry, BTK also made a reference to the name Rex. What's bothersome to me about some of these serial killers and some of even the families of the serial killers, it's almost like there's so much interest worldwide that these people, Lana Banana, hello Supreme Commander Bill from Galveston. Galveston, oh Galveston. Chat, stick around. After the show will be redirected to a YouTube short with Jim Clementi, FBI profiler and producer. That's my buddy Josh. That's my engineer Josh, making these little YouTube shorts, Guys, 131 in the chat, 61 with the thumbs up. Let's get some more thumbs up. And also, folks, if you're new to Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, go on to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell. You won't be sorry. There's some amazing things happening on this channel, and we're going to continue trying to get the very best guests we can and stay updated and up to date and educated on the newest things happening in law enforcement, on law and crime, and the science of investigations. Michael Geary, Sharon, he's such a demented individual. The serial killers are so fascinating. I think that's what... Andy the Gabby Cabby. Andy, so good to see you, buddy. I saw you had a really big audience the other night. I was just panning through. And guys, sometimes some of you folks email me or message me, and believe me, I try to get back to everybody, but sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I'm pretty much, as far as the administration of this channel, I'm pretty much a one-man operation. So I get 3 different email addresses. I get Messenger, I get YouTube, I get Facebook. So it's really tough to keep up with all this stuff. So as I said, I try my best, but if I don't, please don't let it hurt your feelings. I'm doing my best to try to get back and to try to stay relevant, to try to build an audience, to try to keep police off the cuff, real crime stories as big as possible and as relevant as possible. So Soldier Girl said she knows the feeling. Andy the Cabby, he commiserates with me. It's hard to keep up with all of the stuff, and then you got to keep up with trending stories. What is actually happening right now, and you can miss the boat if you're not Johnny on the spot. You can miss something going on. And then the other big part of this, guys, is booking guests. It's not easy. Julie Wilson, you're doing an amazing job, Billy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But it pulls you everywhere. And then, you have your family. I have my wife. I have my 2 sons that, you got to pay attention to. So it can get a little bit difficult. And I'm not complaining. This is what I would call a labor of love. I love to do this. But having said that, it still pulls you, you're pulled in. That was pretty good, like a plane. You're pulled in all kinds of different directions. So, but it's good. Schmitty, good to see you. Amy in Boston. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. She said, Bill, you're the best. Please come to Boston for the springtime. I'm staying here with some friends and we got lots of room. And you can sell your paintings on the sidewalk outside some cafe where I'll be working soon. Please come to Boston, she said no. Why don't you come home to me? Oh, rambling boy, why don't you settle down? Boston ain't your kind of town. There ain't no gold and there ain't nobody like me. 'Cause I'm the #1 fan of the man from Tennessee. Great tune. That's a good tune. I always liked that tune. Charisma. Amy in Boston liked it. She liked that. Andy, I have friends of mine in the U.S. at the moment. First stop was New York City. Sent me some great pictures back there in Florida now. Guys, I'm at the end of October, I'm going to go back to Florida. Hopefully spend the winter in Florida. Mel Stiller, thank you. I don't need the snow anymore. I don't need the ice. I need the sun, Julie Wilson, thank you. So when I have Patrick Ryder on Tuesday night, there's so many questions. And my only concern really is what's going to be off base and what's going to be on base. What can I ask and what will he say? I can't go there, Or will he go everywhere? It seems that early on in this case has sort of been laid out there by Ray Tierney, the Suffolk County District Attorney. Pauline Buckles, that's right, Dave Loggins. Eddie Haskell, amazing you can remember the lyrics. I still play guitar and you try to keep up. And sometimes you can pull songs out of the hat. Michelle Mason, $49.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Supporting police off the cuff, real crime stories. Very much, I'm touched by that. Thank you so much, Michelle Mason. This channel doesn't run on bread alone, as they say. But thank you so much. Sharon Reynolds, your daughter's a hostess for British Airways. She's in that hurricane we tried. Yeah, Hurricane Idalia. My sister is now in Fort Myers, Florida, and it was supposed to. Catherine Musa, love your style, bitching with Bill. Thank you so much. My sister's in Fort Myers, and they barely got touched, and that's on the West Coast. Last year, they got hit with a hurricane that destroyed a lot of Western Florida, Sanibel Island, all of the West Coast. Well, Naples was there, but all of the cities that are inland, I think they're okay. But if you're on the water, they got hit so bad. We hear so much about global warming and all of that stuff, and I guess climate change. Look, I believe in it. I don't know at what extent of it is the warming of the earth or the warming of the waters, because there was a point this past summer that the ocean in Florida got to be 100 degrees. That's crazy. But supposedly it had something to do with the coral, the coral reefs degenerating or something. Charisma, thank you for this $2 super sticker. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you guys. I'm working hard. Believe me, I'm working really hard. Trying to stay relevant. I'm trying to build my audience. And Marshall, hi Bill, love your singing, so relaxing. What was dynamic like between the NYPD, Suffolk County, when you were there? Well, we had very little interaction with Suffolk County. The precincts in Queens of the NYPD that border Nassau County, I'm sure they have relations or interactions all the time with Nassau County. But when you have, for example, a guy like Patrick Ryder as the Nassau County Police Commissioner, and a police commissioner like Keechant Sewell, who was former Nassau County Chief of Detectives, the police departments are going to have a great relationship because there's going to be a spirit of cooperation, a spirit of helping each other. But when you had out in Suffolk County from 2012 to 2015, the Chief James Burke, then I can't, I personally, look, I retired in 2011. So James Burke was one of the heads of the Suffolk County Police Department in 2012 to 2015. So I didn't have any personal interactions with Suffolk County. But you could see that in the Gilgo case, when he didn't request the FBI to assist, that's not a spirit of cooperation. And we'll look back upon it, and others will look back upon it as, well, had he brought the FBI in there earlier, could that, and this is the big question we've all been talking about, would that have helped solve the case? The Green Avalanche, right? The Amber Costello's roommate / pimp. Jacqueline Johnston, good to see you. Manifest it. Always good to see you. They had that information in 2010, 2011. Why did it sit? Linda Daughtry, Bill, doing the show is hard dedication. Yeah, it is. And I'm trying it. I'm working really hard. It's all about building your brand and building your audience and getting good guests, having good co-hosts. And, sometimes not being as crowded in the hosting, because, for example, the other night, even had we had one more person on, it would have been way too crowded. And Dr. Joni was supposed to come on and she pulled out, which was probably a good thing. Not that I mean, I love Dr. Joni and I want to have her on in the future. But even sometimes it's only good to have a host and a co-host. If you have a third, it can be too crowded. Even though I love Phil and I love Mike Geary, but sometimes I have to make the call. And I hate to have to hurt someone's feelings. And so, no, we'll only have two guys on tonight because it's sometimes it gets too crowded, And I have to make executive decisions. I'm the boss, This is my channel. I'm the boss. So, I said it in my best New York City accent. Judy, good to see you. Christy Doval, capo, tutti capo. The boss of all bosses, we had Sammy the Bull Gravano on a couple of years ago. And Andy the Gabby Cabby, Phil, straight out of Brooklyn, is a good guy. And Phil said something like that. It was just Phil calling right now. Phil said something that Sammy the Bull wants to come back on the show. And I'm like, whoa, because Sammy the Bull is a successful podcaster himself. And I think he's got subscribers. And he's an interesting guy. But, the last time when we had Sammy the Bull on, some people gave us a hard time. You're cops, why are you having a killer on your show? He did 19 murders. And, well, something, when I was working for the NYPD, that's what I did. I interviewed murderers for homicide. And we worked on murders. I mean, I'm not going to moralize about the guy's life, That was an example of someone that cut a deal with the FBI, and there's plenty of them out there, right? I watched The Mob Wife, Sammy the Bull's daughter is on that. That's right, Sharon Reynolds, you're right. His daughter is on that. Look, what is popular these days? These reality shows, podcasts. Podcasts have taken over television. Michelle and Bill, did you see the video my buddy Zach posted just speaking with one of them? Yes, I did see it. Absolutely. Thank you for sending it. James Disser, excellent answer to anyone who says that. James, good to see you. James Disser, I just had him on the Law and Crime author series. And his book, what a great guy. People tell me that people were in the chat were saying, you guys look like brothers. You looked exactly the same, you know. But anyway, yeah, he was on the Law and Crime author series. Great interview. You know, one of the things I sometimes I tell people that come on, especially Law and Crime author series, is that, look, we're just going to have a conversation. I don't have to quote your book, although I read his foreword. That's how I started the show. I read his foreword to his book. I read the introduction, and it was great, and it sort of introduced the book. But then we wound up talking about everything else, the book and everything else, not just the book. And that's part about, you know, you come. James Dissa said, "I've been called worse." Thank you, brother. So yeah, I mean, you come from the same world, you know. Talks to Angels think Sammy is interesting to listen to. You're right, just a conversation. You're having a conversation. It's just the same thing as like Michael Vecchione, who wrote Friends of the Family with our great friend Tommy Dades, retired detective. That story should be a movie. Not even a movie, it should be a series on Netflix. And these people that make these decisions, that is $1 million story just waiting to explode on either on the big screen or on a Netflix series or an HBO series. And if you don't know the book Friends of the Family, here I'm talking about, I'm segueing into other things, and that's why Police Off the Cuff, Backyard Beverage, Coffee with Cannon, Bitchin' with Bill is so different than Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I get to talk to you guys one-on-one, and we get to vent a little bit, you know. So sometimes someone new will come on the channel and say, I didn't like that he deviated from talking about the Gilgo case. Well, dude, this is not exactly Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. It's Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, Coffee, Cups, Crimes, and Cannon. We talk about anything. You know, we sing songs once in a while. So yeah, Michael Vecchione, Tommy Dades, Friends of the Family, and it's about Ippolito and Caracappa, right? Louis Ippolito and Steve Caracappa, two NYPD detectives back in the 80s and the 90s who were doing hits for the mob, for the mafia. They were killing people for the mafia. They were on the mafia's payroll, you know, which is disgraceful in itself. And that's what that book is about. It tells the story. And the great detective Tommy Dades helped break that case wide open. And Michael Vecchione helped prosecute that case, also helped investigate the case. So that's what that book is about. Michael Vecchione, Homicide is My Business. I had him on the Law and Crime author series. Great writer, prolific writer. And he's banging out another book. These people are amazing to me, you know. He's banging out another book. It's like incredible. You know, I wish I had that kind of talent to write like that. Mel Still, I really love this laid-back format, Sergeant Bill. Well, Mel, thank you. I mean, you know something, we all have our talents, we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. I really wished at some point, well, you can't wish. If you want something, you got to work at it. And maybe I didn't want it enough, but to be a really good writer, you know, to be a good writer takes dedication. You know what they say the hardest part of being a good writer is? Attaching your ass to the seat and sitting down and getting going. That's the hardest part, right? The hardest part of doing that is to actually sit down at the word processor, well, computer actually. I'm dating myself. I should, if I would have said typewriter, you guys would have been sending me daggers. But it was funny, I said to Bobby Chacon and Jim Clemente the other night, I said when I was teaching college, when you talk about dating yourself, I used the expression dungarees. And the kids looked at me and they were like, what the hell are dungarees? And I go, oh, I'm sorry. I used the term from way back. Dungarees are jeans, blue jeans. And they were like, we never heard of dungarees. I was like, wow. And I guess most people haven't, right? Most people haven't. View. I see someone else, $49.99. The super stickers are coming in. Sharon Reynolds, I can't see. The name was blocked, though. Like the morning, ha, ha, ha. I'm sure you guys, there's things you could use, expressions you could use Lana Banana, yeah, you used, and Big Dog, a huge fan of Billy. Frank Sinatra, start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond blues are turning away right to the very heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in a city that never sleeps. That's actually not an easy song to sing. It goes up and down, and and if you don't have accompaniment to keep it on pitch, is a little bit the phrasing and everything, and only Frank Sinatra has that phrasing, right? New York State of Mind, great tune, great tune. The Truth, I believe he does. Old Blue Eyes, good rendition. You ever see the guy who wrote the book on Harvey Weinstein? He outed Harvey Weinstein. Ronan Farrell. He's Mia Farrow's son. They think he's Frank Sinatra's son. He looks exactly like him. And Frank Sinatra was married to Mia Farrow for a while. And my question is, like, why, if Ronan Farrow is Frank Sinatra's son, why wouldn't he just come out and say that? Like, what's the big deal? Erica Olson, I grew up hearing jeans called dungarees. Yeah, they don't use that term anymore, Just like, how about calling a fire hydrant a Johnny Pump? Have you ever heard that one? That's from another era, right? Jacqueline Johnson, Ronan is outing Elon Musk now. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know he's writing more investigative reports. And he also has been outing Woody Allen. Yes, yeah. Basically, that's a whole other big story. I don't want to totally get into that right now, but he's done some great investigative journalism, Ronan Farrow, and just where he's coming from. Christine Diwali, stick to the show. All right, I'll stay on this topic. So, get back to Patrick Ryder, the Nassau County Police Commissioner, who's coming on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. There's so many things I want to ask him. One of the big things, of course, I want to ask him is, Pat, what was the involvement of the Nassau County Police Force in the investigation of of Rex Heuermann? I'm saying Ronan Farrow, of Rex Heuermann. What was the involvement as far as the search warrant of their house? I understand Nassau County Police were totally involved in that search warrant of Rex Heuermann's house, of the house that was described as cluttered. I can't even imagine. You know how the attorneys that representing Essa Ellerup, Michael Allen, fan request, 9/11 show, 2 hours with guests. I've done 9/11 shows before. In fact, on the 20-year anniversary, I had the three guys that I was with that day, and we did over an hour show on that. So it's a very emotional thing for us. And the three guys who I responded that day with, they were all from the 2-3 Detective Squad, which is where I was before Manhattan North Homicide. Billy Hicks, Zedekiah Jennings, and Jimmy Zarakis. Those were the three detectives I was with on 9/11, and we all survived, and we all are still living to this day. Some of us have some 9/11 ailments connected to our response and work at Ground Zero and at Fresh Kills, at the morgue, at all the different locations we worked during 9/11. So I potentially will do another 9/11 show. It does, in some ways, you would think it would get a lot of interest, that people from outside the country, outside the city, would want to hear about experiences. Julia Hewitt, thank you for your service, Bill. Thank you. But then others, people take it for granted. It's when you think about it now, it's 22 years this year. 22 years. You think it gets any easier for people who lost family members, people who lost friends, people who lost acquaintances, cops who lost co-workers, um, Port Authority, Fire Department lost 343 members that day. 343. Probably the biggest hit of first responders anywhere in the world happened that day, you know. Yeah, it's 22 years ago. Unbelievable, you know. And I used to go when I was teaching college. I used to bring my class there. I brought them there twice. And they got such a kick out of it. They would go into the database and go, "There's your name, Professor. It says Sergeant Cannon, 2-3 Detective Squad." You know, and I said, "Yeah, I was there," you know. And some of the kids had lost family members there, and some of them got very emotional. If going to the 9/11 memorial is really an emotional place, it really is. It's Sharon Reynolds, your daughter got to visit a lot of 9/11 first responders, a lot of police, a lot of firemen when she visited New York. As the Marines say, Semper Fi, and that means always faithful, right? On the NYPD, we say Fidelis ad mortem, which is Latin, which is the motto of the Honor Legion, the NYPD Honor Legion, and it stands for faithful until death. That Fidelis ad mortem. So all these expressions that you know, it is incredible, and again that it's 22 years ago. I you know, I don't ever bring it up unless someone else does, and I actually have to go next week to the World Trade Center physical, so I go every year. So Michael Gear, it was a bad day, surrealistic like no other day in my life. That's how everyone says, oh, it was surreal. That's the word being used, you know. And you knew when you were there, when you were walking around, you couldn't see all the, it was so filled with ash and what, you know, crumbled concrete and stuff. And you really couldn't see more than like 2 or 3 feet in front of you. And you knew that this was, history was happening. Horrific history, but you were part of it, you know, when you were walking around down there. And then, yeah, it was like a war zone. Well, it was just like a bomb hit it. It was a bomb delivered by an airliner, you know. And Joe Laverick, yes, everyone can remember where they were. It's like when, you know, people say, if you were alive then, I remember where I was when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, or Martin Luther King, or Robert F. Kennedy. People remember what they were doing, where they were, you know. It's one of those things that is marked in your memory forever, you know, certain incidences like that. And, you know, sometimes I'd be in other states or in Florida or something, you hear someone go, "Oh, I was so scared." And you're like, "Where were you?" "I was in Florida." I was like, "Oh, God." And you're like listening to that and you want to laugh, you know. Jacqueline Johnson, you need to write a memoir. You know, everyone that has worked on the NYPD that really did the job, that was out in the street, that did really did police work. I don't mean they were behind a typewriter at 1 pp. I mean they really did police work. Everyone should have a journal and write down things. All you young cops, if there's any young cops listening right now, write down, even if you do it once a week, write down what you did. Write down do a summation of what you did the previous week, and do that. It's a great idea, and because as you get older, like me, you forget stuff. You really do, or you remember it differently, you know, and that's just part of getting older, part of not remembering things exactly as they occurred. But if you write things down, you're going to remember it, and it's going to refresh your memory, and it's good memories, you know. Lena Banana, I did keep one from 17 on. That's tremendous. And probably, Lena, when you look at it, you can't believe what your perception was like back that many years ago. because now you probably think differently, you know. Julia, you, yes, write down how it feels too. Write down everything, yeah. Write down how it feels. Write down the funny things. Write down the sad things. Write down the things of how it, right, exactly, how it made you feel. You know, I always say to people, cops are some of the funniest people on this earth. And that's because part of surviving the NYPD is to have a good sense of humor, to laugh. You need to laugh, or else you're going to cry, you know. And even the other night when I had Bobby Chacon on and Jim Clemente and Mike Geary, of course, I'm a ball breaker, and I know that, and that's part of being a cop. And some people that listen to the show don't get it. Most of you do. Some don't, and they're like, I didn't like that. Well, then, dude, go somewhere else. It's not for you then. If you think you don't like kidding around, you don't like joking, you don't like ball breaking, then you're in the wrong place, you know. Go to somewhere else, you know. Gallows humor, Colleen, right. Well, you know, we call it gallows humor, sure. You can call it that. We call it ball breaking on the NYPD, you know. So yeah, it's that kind of sense of humor. My dad was killed by a police officer in 1970. I was 12 years old on a zebra crossing. I don't know what you mean by a zebra crossing. I'm not familiar with that term. Mary Lynn Minetta, and I'm sorry about your dad, but I can't read the whole story. Ain Patrick, yep, find a way to live through the dark shit and connect with others. Yeah, you know something, not just police work, there's other work too. Medical field, you know, nurses, doctors, you know, firemen, a pedestrian crossing. Oh, sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that. I wasn't sure. I never actually heard that term, zebra crossing. Andy the Gabby Cabby. Hey, good, always good to see you, Andy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so you guys didn't get confused by my different location today? It's a little bit greener. Laughing is better than crying. Absolutely, guys. You know, I'm coming on 48 minutes. It goes so fast. And, you know, I just want to wish everyone that's in the chat, everyone that supports this show, everyone that listens to Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, to have an amazing, amazing Labor Day weekend. Spend some time with your friends, with your family, have a few drinks. Don't overdo it. And if you drink, don't drive. Smokey the Bandit says, if you drink, don't drive, right? Take an Uber. You can take an Uber. Call up Andy the Gabby Cabby. Have him pick you up, you know, if you're in that part of England. The trees are green. I see trees are green. Red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Wow, I should have ended right at 49 minutes, 45 seconds, but I wanted to end, so Satchmo, that's right. It's the first time, you know, the first time I ever heard that song was in the movie Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams. That was the first time I ever heard that show, and it was really tremendous. I was like, wow, what a great tune, you know? What a wonderful world, yeah. Tremendous, tremendous tune. Anyway, Mel Stiller, thank you. Guys, I'm going to say goodbye. It's 49 minutes, 46 seconds. I want everyone to have a wonderful weekend. You folks, thank you so much. The channel members, Patreon members, you folks that gave me the super chats today, Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and God bless everybody.